Hello, and welcome to the Gems of Rock podcast, where we talk all things rock music. The pod this week is brought to you by Geely's Butchers and Cafe. As in, literally brought to you by Geely's Butchers and Cafe, because they fed us before we came.
Oh, is this like how we plug them and then ask for a sponsorship after the fact?
That's
what
how
we're
it
going
works.
for?
Yeah. Geely, give us free shit. That's
what we're going for.
That's the message. That's the only reason I set up this whole podcast.
Should we tell them it's from St Anne's? Geely's off Lytham. Should we maybe give it a bit more specific?
Yeah, Geely's Butchers in Lytham. Geely's Family Butchers.
Oh yeah,
in St Anne's. But yeah, definitely a must.
Alright, so when we came up with a list of ideas for this, Chuck Berry's pretty top of the list for you, wasn't it? Something you wanted to talk about.
So yeah, doing a podcast about rock music, I wanted to talk about different people and albums and all different influential figures within the industry. And if you ever Google, okay, where did rock music start? Who created rock music? Again, it's debated. It's one of those things that as soon as you say something on the internet, there's 10,000 people who go, excuse me, no, it's this person, and you didn't think about this fact. But no, he's definitely one of the forefathers and base building blocks for rock music, and that is Chuck Berry.
Yeah, I felt really stupid, truth be told. We started last week. He came up with this idea a few months ago. Let's do a podcast like thousands of others did during lockdown 17 or whatever we're up to. We wanted to jump on that trend, and we couldn't quite meet up as soon as by the time we got all the gear. And when we came up with the ideas, and you told me let's do one on Chuck Berry, and like last week we spoke about how much I love rock music, who my favourite artists, this, that, and the other. I felt like a complete idiot when I started just to do a little bit of reading on Chuck Berry. Like, oh my Christ, can I ever call myself a rock fan? And I didn't actually. Not that you got to look that far back, but I felt like an absolute just knob. My lack of knowledge, or putting puzzle pieces together that I'd never made those connections before. And I'm sure we'll get onto in a second, like how many times he appears in this film, that TV series, who sampled him, or who's his inspiration. This guy quoted him about this person quoted him about that, and it's just like, oh Christ, okay, should have made myself a bit more aware. So
I'm the same. I sort of knew of him, and obviously the big tracks like sort of Johnny B. Good. Everyone knows Johnny B. Good. Even if they don't know.
Well, they've seen Back to the Future, that's
exactly,
it. So from Back to the Future, for me, I'd never put two and two together from Pulp Fiction.
That's it. Yeah, that's the two sort of main songs that people will know by him. It's the ones that were used in the movies. But where I first heard it properly got an appreciation for it, I was working at a HMV knockoff shop, and one of my friends picked the CD to put it on in the store to sort of play as the background music for the day. And I was like, oh, I quite like all of this. All the songs on it came on. And a couple of weeks later, I chose it and put it on in the shop. And it was just like the essential Chuck Berry, or like a greatest hits album. And then I remember a customer saying at the counter, like, oh, who's put this on? I was like, and Jim pointed at me because I picked it this time. And he was like, oh, good taste. And he was like, well, created rock and roll, didn't he? And I was like, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I had no idea. I just quite like the music.
You try and flex on him, or you style it out?
I just sort of agreed with him and just like, oh yeah, as customers do. But yeah, I didn't have any sort of knowledge to sort of who he was and his sort of influence on created the genre at the time. It was just kind of like, this is quite good. It's quite catchy music. It's really cool. But yeah, he did, sort of, like I say, if you Google who created rock music, it'll always come up. Chuck Berry will always be one of the top results for it. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about him a bit more in this podcast. Sort of get his name out there.
Get his name out there, yeah, because we're the ones that are going to put him on the map.
Up-and-coming artists and all that. So, born 1926 in St. Louis in America.
You don't know where St. Louis is, do you?
It's Missouri.
Is it? Yeah, I was going to say, I think the way you paused there is like, America. Somewhere in that neck of the woods.
But yeah, so, again, sort of 1920s America, sort of an up-and-coming black musician. It's still a very sort of segregated environment. Yeah. It's
well, in my brief reading, one of the facts that came across multiple websites, this, that, and the other, Enemy and Rolling Stone, a few different websites, the impact of racial segregation on his life. He changed his lyrics because Johnny B. Good, almost autobiographical. Mm-hmm. Even though he clearly was a whiz with words, saying he didn't learn too well, and but he wanted to say he said country boy in Johnny B. Good, but he wanted to say coloured boy.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't put it on the radio.
No.
And I'm sure I've found a fact here that says he didn't see a white person until he was 3.
Yeah, so yeah, I read that. It's mad. And I read that he didn't see a white person until he was 3, and he thought he was a firefighter.
I thought he was scared.
He turned white because of his fear
of the flames.
Fire. Yeah. Which is mad, isn't it? It's such a crazy way to sort of, I don't know, it's just a crazy situation. But, so yeah, his influences were massively blues-based. So he was a sort of massive fan of his sort of blues music, and he sort of was playing guitar to sort of try and be like the sort of blues artists like Muddy Waters and sort of T-Bone Walker, and those kind of sort of people influenced his music taste. And you can really hear it in his songs. You can really hear the sort of blues sort of birth to it.
But then he almost from what my almost idiotic, not understanding music, but I feel like he almost reached across the racial divide and then brought country into it.
That's it, yeah. So like country licks and stuff like that, he
together.
Very much brought sort of like that kind of music over to it. But yeah, so he wasn't always sort of making money from his music. He always tried to be playing sort of gigs and stuff like that, but he had loads of different jobs. He worked in like a car factory that was very professional. That was my phone, I think. How bizarre. Shocking behaviour. It's a notification about how badly my cryptocurrency's doing. That's bad, isn't it?
Well, maybe if we get better at this, we can start plugging them as our sponsors rather than
There we go. That'd be good.
Just eat, right?
So yeah, he wasn't always making money from his music talent. So he worked in like a car sort of manufacturer, sort of like a warehouse worker. I think he worked with his dad for a bit because his dad was a carpenter, and he was earning sort of enough money via sort of jobs that he was able to buy himself a house for his sort of wife and kids and stuff like that, and able to make money from that. And then it was only the shows he was doing. He was making like $14 one place, $80 one place a night for like gigs like that. And then he went to one place and they paid him $800 for a night. Right. And then that was the kind of the turning point. He was kind of like, I can make money from this.
Yeah,
I can go forward and make money from it. But yeah, so it was.
So was it from there? What was just for anyone that's as ignorant as I am? What was like the first real hit? Was it like he was doing gigs and he wrote his own song? Or was it someone noticed him and he did a song? What was like the first?
So I think he was out. I've read that it was Muddy Waters. So again, a really big blues artist and massive in the charts at the time. Told him as he should go to Chess Records to play his music there and see if Chess Records would take him on as this sort of record label. So he thought sort of they'd take him on under his sort of blues music and things like that. But the first track that they had with them, that came out with Chess Records after the couple one, was Maybelline. And Maybelline, when you listen to it and you listen to the guitar music, again, we had Chuck Berry on in the car as we were going to get food. You can hear the guitar riffs in Maybelline, and it was nothing that had been like that before. It was such a sort of changing point in music, the way that he was sort of fusing the blues music and, like you say, the country riffs, and the way he was playing the sort of two strings at once on the guitar and the pitch bends and stuff like that. Again, they had been heard in different kinds of music, but being brought together the way he brought them together.
So is that the key thing? He didn't do anything different with as in the guitar itself wasn't any different. It's what he did with it, or
exactly,
what he blended.
Yeah, so he's blended different things that hadn't sort of been blended together anymore. Again, I saw the thing. Eric Clapton was talking about him, and again, Eric Clapton's one of the sort of greatest guitarists that ever will be, and he was saying that in playing the two strings together and bending the two strings together, it just fills out harmony, and once you hear just that kind of bend or that kind of style, you instantly know it's Chuck Berry.
Right.
And we were saying in the car as well, a lot of his songs start the same way, and it's that kind of signature, his kind of style, that as soon as you hear it, you go, oh yeah, it's Chuck Berry. But yeah, Maybelline, I think, was the big one that got him. I think it got to number 1 in the R&B charts, and then something like number 4 in the sort of popular music charts. But that was the one that really kicked it off for him. And it's a fantastic song. So yeah, the first ever rock song to come out.
I suppose you probably call him, like, if you call him the Godfather of rock and roll, one of the pioneers of rock and roll, I suppose he maybe started or was part of the stereotype because he went to prison on a couple of occasions, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So he spent, I think, as a teenager, he was done for armed robbery,
Right.
which was they found a gun, or one of the people he was hanging around with found a gun. Had a gun, and they stole a car. So like they used the gun to acquire the car, and they got caught. And I think initially he was given 10 years for that, but then appealed it, or he got out for good behaviour or something like that. He didn't serve the full 10 years. But yeah, I think it was again, we mentioned this earlier, while he was in prison, the Beach Boys released Surfing USA.
Yeah, now I actually discovered it this morning. This is like shocking. I had no other words for it to find out that, like, because I read it as he'd been credited for Surfing USA, but you told me originally they just straight up ripped him off.
Yeah. They just straight up came out with Surfing USA as their own track, just like, yeah, we wrote this. What? Go away. Yeah, definitely ours. Until it was threatened. They were threatened legal action from.
Like, if anyone's not heard it, play them like next to each other, one after the other. Because
it's Sweet 16 as well.
Yeah,
we mentioned the other track. Chuck Berry's track is
Sweet 16 and Surfing USA. It's like, it's not even subtle. It's not even. It's like, I remember like Blurred Lines and like Marvin Gaye's estate.
Yeah.
Suing them for like using the musical or the instruments. Something
it was
about
some small part.
And you know, and you always see it, don't you? People like who have either done it without asking permission or who have sampled someone cleverly.
Yeah.
But they've basically like the lyrics aren't even that much different.
No.
It's just mentioning places across the USA. Like they sing the Beach Boys sing like half a bar earlier, don't they? Like it doesn't match the same beat, but my God, it's just ridiculous how much
insane,
they didn't like credit him.
But yeah, they just stopped legal action being taken. They credited Chuck Berry as one of the sort of people on the song, so he got sort of rights, like royalties from that. So he got money from it. But yeah, it's pretty blatant, that, wasn't it? It was very it was quite a move on the Beach Boys' part. But yeah, so again, sort of other big songs that came sort of after Maybelline, you've got things like Roll Over Beethoven, which again, it's rock and roll music coming into it. So again, the lyrics of it are roll over Beethoven, check these rhythm and blues. It's kind of a statement saying, right, we're done with the past, we've done with that, let's bring in the new, let's take out the old, bring in the new. It's very much here's the new thing. And all of his songs are like talking about cars and girls, and it was the sort of the first thing at the time to sort of do that, to sort of
talking about the experience of young people that you had to keep hidden in private. You had to have like that stiff upper lip. You had to have a calm outward, you know, because it just offended people, didn't it?
Yeah.
He like talking about modern new things, talking about your almost enjoyment, your vices.
It was so exciting. It was so lively.
Upbeat.
It was so upbeat music. It was music that, again, we said earlier, you can't help move your feet to. You can't help sort of dance and.
Well, for me, I pretend like. I just have John Travolta in my head. You play that song, I will pretend I can like swing dance. Like
never can tell.
Yeah, like just hearing that Sailor V bit, just old folks wedding, you know, bang straight in. Like
it is. It's such a lively music, and again, when he performs it on stage, you can see him. You can see his excitement, his enthusiasm, and his passion for it comes out. His little dances and little movements that he makes when he's holding the guitar, and you can see, if you ever watch him play live, like there's videos on him playing live, you can see it in his eyes. Like he's got such a passion for it and such a.
He very much creates signature movements, didn't he? Like I said, I spent summer last night to not be too ill informed, like watching videos and reading a little bit, and how he moved on stage to realise, oh, so this person's copying him. And again, you think, like if I'm going more mainstream, like how Marty McFly does it in Back to the Future and imitates him in that kind of signature movement.
That's it, yeah.
Apparently, he did that first kind of shaking the leg thing to try and get a wrinkle out of his suit.
I read that, yeah. So he was trying to sort of get the wrinkles out of his suit.
And then it became a signature move.
Exactly, yeah.
I just love anything like that like unintentional. Yeah, not designed, not fake, not manufactured. But then, that's the thing now.
That's now my thing. Yeah, people like this.
AC/DC with the school uniform.
Yeah.
Like, you're now in school uniform. I don't care how old you'll get. Shorts, hat, school uniform.
That's it, yeah. But yeah, it's such a... And he said that as well. He loved playing live and he loved being in front of people. And he said he'd rather play 10 live shows than play one studio, like recording a song. He'd rather play live because in a studio you just perform into the walls and there's no one there to react and build off and things like that. You can't see people's passion and enthusiasm for it. Whereas like when you're playing live, you can feel the audience, you can feel their sort of enjoyment, and you can see them dancing, and it's such a live electric atmosphere that he created. It was magic.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot then, Dan, because we've mentioned a few of his songs, and since this is one of the arts you want to bring forth, I'm going to open up his Spotify area on my phone and see if like you can get his top 5 stream, because I think you've named them all, but more than can you name them? See how close to order you can get.
His top song is always going to be Johnny Be Good.
Yeah. Do you want to guess how many plays?
Oh, no, I wouldn't be able to guess.
Right, well, to give you so you can scale it down from here, so that's got 239 million.
Jesus, yeah. Well, again, it's still such a massive song. When you see bands now, and you like go to see bands in the pub and up and coming artists and stuff like that, a lot of them will still play Johnny Be Good because it's still such a people pleasing track. It still holds true.
Right, so you got Johnny Be Good top of the list. What's next?
Maybe Never Can Tell.
Yeah.
Because again, Pulp Fiction, playing Pulp Fiction.
Culture in there.
Yeah, exactly. Came through the pop culture that way. Then maybe Maybelline.
Not in the top 5.
Oh, really?
That's it, because it's one of his first big hit. Not officially number 1, but one of his first big hits.
Okay.
Because I think it went to number 1 on the R&B charts, but not the pop charts. And I think this.
All the way. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So it's when you're looking at music charts a little more broken up by different types. So Maybelline's not in the top 5 on Spotify. It's not one of his most streamed.
Okay. You'll have the Christmas track. You'll have Run Run Rudolph.
Incorrect.
No way.
I know, it's a bit shocking, isn't it?
Again, that's one of the ones you'd play and everyone would know that track because it's on every Christmas album ever.
You've named one of his other songs whilst we've been talking.
Roll Over Beethoven.
So Roll Over Beethoven's number 4. So you've got 1, 2, and 4 so far.
I don't know. Sweet 16? Sweet 16's not going to be in there?
Nope. Which is shocking because in the popularity of Surfing USA.
Yeah.
Like,
again,
I don't think many people could not name that Beach Boys song.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's a bit upsetting.
From a range of demographics.
That Surfing USA got as big as it did.
And they tried to do it under the table.
Yeah.
Cheeky bastards.
Yeah, if you want to...
Put you out your misery.
I'm going to really...
You got No Particular Place to Go at number 3.
I love No Particular Place to Go.
And Route 66.
Route 66.
Which was actually used on the animated film Cars as well. So again, like the amount of TV and film, like a variety of TV and film, when I was looking, I was like, oh, seriously, like it's ridiculous how much it's on.
It's mad, isn't it?
Like they've even sent his songs to space, haven't they?
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. One of the first like in the I think it was in the 80s. I think it was the Voyagers. You know when they started sending like probes out to space. They sent 12-inch gold-plated records. Like variety of cultures, genres, noises. You know, but on the record is Johnny Be Good.
Fantastic.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll get my laptop up here, see if I can find it. News story. Chuck Berry, NASA. NASA said the Golden Record is intended to communicate a story of our world to extraterrestrials, and what better way to introduce rock and roll to our alien neighbours than through the electric sounds of the originator himself.
Amazing. That's brilliant.
And there's a whole letter here from like Carl Sagan from Cornell University. You know, couldn't be a more famous science, like one of the most famous scientists. When they tell you your music will live forever, you can just be sure they're exaggerating, but Johnny Be Good is on the Voyager interstellar records attached to NASA's Voyager spacecraft. Now 2 billion miles from Earth and bound for the stars, these records will last 1 billion years or more.
Amazing. That's fantastic. Immortalised in space.
Well, that's it. So not only was the first guy to invent rock on Earth, but maybe extraterrestrially, like rock on different planets.
That's it. That's fantastic. But yeah, sort of going back to that, he really tried to tell stories through his lyrics. So when you've got like Johnny Be Good and No Particular Place to Go and things like that, that you can, it's a story rather than it just being like, I don't know, do whoppa doodah or whatever else is out at the time.
Either autobiographical or just an allegory telling some kind of story.
Exactly.
And how many artists have done it since? Like you'll listen to someone's through album and there'll be certain names. You know, like you listen to certain Green Out, you'll hear Gloria, Saint Jimmy. Yeah. You'll hear certain names throughout the album as they build the story.
He does that with Johnny Be Good. Like there's so many songs further down his catalogue that sort of harken back or name Johnny Be Good or do a bit more of the story and things like that. But like No Particular Place to Go, where they're on about it, he's in the car and he's driving along and he's got the girl in the passenger seat with no particular place to go. And them talking and her whispering in his ear, and you can picture the whole thing in your head as it moves along. It creates a picture in your head.
And you can big him up, but let's not like talk about one of his more popular hits before like we kind of wrap this up. And because I was very much enjoying it in the car, the live version, one of his more popular cheeky hits, "My Dingaling." like I think you need to be a certain level of clever to basically have a song about a penis and make it that catchy. Like I think some people are not clever enough with their penis-related songs. There's a nice line, and considering that's I think it was one of his only like outright number one hits. And it's just like it's just brilliant, and
Making
it's just
a song like that radio friendly.
Yeah, that's it. It's just naughty. It's a little sing along, a little tongue in cheek. Like that takes a certain level of like clever. Like you're talking about his lyrics and his storytelling. I think let's just shout out that his number one hit is about cocks.
Yeah,
I think that's what we need to really like hit home with.
It's really good. Yeah, it is a good. Again, it's the live version we had in the car today.
We got thousands of blokes.
And again, when it sort of turned the music down, we were trying to talk to each other, and every now and again, you just hear the guy going, "My ding-a-ling." It's just like it's a bit, passing other cars looking in. It's quite a thing. But yeah, I've got some other random facts about him.
Drop them on me. Educate me.
So he punched Keith Richards. So Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones was on the same bill, or they were playing the same thing, or they were at the same venue at some point. And Keith Richards walked into the room where Chuck Berry's guitar was, and Keith was like, "Oh, do you know what? Just one touch, one go." And he picked it up and he just played like an E chord. And Chuck Berry came in and "No one touches the guitar!" Bang! Punched Keith Richards in the face. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like where there's no sense, there's no feeling. Like there's probably enough in Keith Richards' system that he could take a punch or two. Like
yeah. But they did play together. I think it was one of those things that came down the line. That everyone else that came up in the industry wanted to perform with Chuck Berry at one point in their to have that written within their history and tapestries.
You look at
I performed with Chuck Berry.
Yeah, you look at some of the like kind of quotes from people as he passed away. He passed away when he was 90 years old, wasn't it? 1991. And like I've got a list of quotes here, and I won't like go through the quotes, but like you've got the obvious: Bruce Springsteen, Paul McCartney, John Lennon. Like it's clear that he probably influenced the Beatles, and how many people the Beatles then influenced. Mm-hmm. But we've equally got Flavor Flav and like Donny Osmond. So it's quite a range. To birth rock and roll to then influence these two people, or for them to nod to said influence is pretty crackers. I'll see if Keith Richards on this list is here. Do you remember the time I was punched by him?
But he did, like you said, you mentioned John Lennon there. John Lennon was, he played a show, I think it's a live TV performance, and he played with John Lennon. And it's John Lennon and Oko. And Oko has some weird bits during that song.
Really?
Yeah, I know she's normally like a down-to-earth, standard normal character, but yeah. But no, on that show, on that time where they played together, John Lennon said, "You might as well call rock music Chuck Berry. It might as well."
That's his backup name.
Exactly, you might as well. It's that much... He created it. It's so him.
Right, so then we change our name to Gems of Chuck Berry then.
That's it, yeah. Gems of Chuck.
We tried to link it to my geography interest and knowledge, but yeah, Gems of Chuck Berry. Well,
that's exactly it.
I must admit, I think I need to do a bit more reading about him, because I'm going to try and fumble along with you talking about music. Because you understand it, like how to play instruments. I don't understand it at all. But
yeah, I understand how to play instruments. It's not necessarily, I can't...
Yeah, so you've got a little bit of insight into what he did to blend it. Because for me, I was wondering, did he develop a new style of guitar, a new type of string, a new type of material? Did he do anything that way, or was it just that everything was kind of already established, he just did it differently, he brought it together? It's almost like giving three people the same ingredients, but coming out with something else in the end. It's the skill of replicating the meal at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he did anything new with a new type of wood or guitar or strings, but he just...
potentially, but I've not got that in front of me, and that's not something I've been told. But no, it's like bringing different things together. Again, from bringing the things together, he obviously created his own style and own signature, and like I say, he laid the blueprint forward for your bands coming forward.
And everyone else we're going to talk about.
Exactly, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and those bands at the time, which then developed into all different stuff like that. But yeah, let's go some other random facts to keep it going. We got his manager. He only ever had one manager. And he got rid of the manager when he found out his manager was pocketing money from his shows.
All right, yeah.
So he then got rid of his manager. He then only wanted to be paid in cash at any sort of gigs he did later on in his career.
Oh, right, okay, so not checks and not
checks. Yeah. Again, it's a line in one of the Ocean's movies. It was do you know what Chuck Berry said before counting 1, 2, 3, 4 every night? Pay me my money. And he always wanted to be paid in cash. He always wanted the money sort of up front before he
So he could see
disappeared, so he could see it. And then he turned up once to Australia, Sydney airport, with £50,000 in cash in a suitcase. And from that incident, the Sydney airport had to change their laws on how much money you could bring through the airport. You can't just bring that much cash with you anymore, because Chuck Berry once turned up with £50,000 in cash. And there was no rules in place to stop him doing that at the time.
Pointing, I don't see it in the rules, I don't see a sign.
That's it, yeah. But again, he had such an amazing sort of career. I know he went back to St. Louis sort of later in life, and he opened his own club there. And again, like you say, it's America, and the segregation there was awful. But the club that he opened there, he tried to get it a real mix of people in there, because one of his things was, my music isn't for black people, it isn't for white people, it's for people. My music is for people. So music for anyone that appreciated it and wanted to listen to it. But yeah, again, he said he lived to 90, and his last album I think he did was in 2006, and he had sort of Tom Morello and different artists from like sort of current music playing on it, but also he was able to get his kids playing on it and his grandkids playing on it as well.
Wow.
There's that kind of the legacy, and was able to live that long and see his music grow and, I don't know, influence so many different bands. And yeah, it was a hell of a life he had.
So, well, I definitely do more reading, but I suppose that's a good insight into him. And I think if we're not going to talk about rock for the next few weeks, we need to
Well, that was it. Yeah, like I say, I want to do a podcast talking about rock music, and I'd feel a bit, I don't know, almost obliged to, but I say obliged like it's like I needed to do it, but I wanted to do it. But yeah, to pay homage to Chuck Berry, who created the music. Like, as Muddy Waters said, rhythm and blues had a baby and they named it rock and roll. And it's amazing. It's such a influential figure on the whole industry. You have to mention him and bring him up. I think
there's no better quote to sign off on than that.
There we go.
Pretty good.
A little bit of an insight into Chuck Berry.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Lovely stuff. Okay, to wrap the podcast up, I want to say a quick shout out to Second Star Creations, who created the logo that we're using on everything. I'm not changing the logo for different episodes as people do. I'm just using the little Gems of Rock thing. But yeah, I'll link them in the bio. I'll try and link Geely's Butchers, Geely's Family Butchers in the bio as well.
We will get free meat.
We will, food. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal.
If we have to move forward and do this for the rest of our lives, I'm being fed to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, thanks to everyone that's been downloading and listening, and yeah, we really appreciate those people listening to this conversation that we'd be having anyway.
While we're trying putting up with us. Thank you for putting up with us.
Exactly, yeah. Like then we said at the beginning, we heard our voice for the first time when we recorded the last episode, and we were like, why does anyone listen to us? Like when we sound
How can I stand in front of 30 kids and talk about the rock cycle, and they actually come on board here?
Yeah, people actually spend time listening to you. But yeah, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.